You know, when you come to Charlie Kirk's Amfest, you meet amazing people. Some of them are speakers who've come in, like Dr. Ben Carson, who's a friend, and he's a friend of Economic War Room. But others of them are people that are working with Turning Point in some form or fashion. Turning Point is amazing what they're accomplishing in the political realm and the education realm. That's something I didn't realize or understand until I met Dr. Hertzberg, Hutz, who came to visit us here at the Economic War Room. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's great to be with you.
Yeah, and now you are working with Turning Point on the education side.
That's right.
How did you get involved? What's your background?
Well, my background really is in Christian higher education, but one of the things I began to realize is that Christian higher education, certainly higher education in general, is now too late to really impact students as much as maybe in our generation. In fact, it makes me think of what the Princeton theologian and doctor of jurisprudence, Robert George, said. He was asked recently, in your 39 years of teaching at Princeton, what have you noticed different about college students today than when you first started? He said, what I've noticed is different is that in the last 10 years or so, kids come already indoctrinated. I began to see the same thing. Charlie's seen the same thing, and that hence birthed Turning Point Academy, but also caused me to think, I need to go younger. So even though my background is in Christian higher ed, I moved to K through 12, which is how I met Charlie Kirk, by the way.
Well, I have a background in Christian higher ed. I was on the board of trustees of Oklahoma Wesleyan University.
Oh, yes,
And we sent two daughters to college, and of course, my wife and I both went to college. So I understand the indoctrination mechanism.
Yes.
But I also understand you need to get them earlier. I get that because the teachers' unions have really purposed to take our children into Marxism. I don't know how else to explain it. Let's talk about some of the bad in this first segment. What's the bad that you see in traditional education?
Well, I don't think we have enough time, but we'll take a stab at it. I mean, as you know, right around the 1920s, I would say is when the real introduction of socialist, Marxist, progressive kind of philosophy of education, Dewey and others started indoctrinating and injecting, I should say, the school philosophy, educational philosophy, which is about 100 years ago. And we've seen now, fast forward, the fruit of that kind of indoctrination, if you will, that kind of philosophy of education and what we experience in our campuses around the country. And so that's at the root of it. But we see all kinds of fruit of it in terms of a lack of respect, lack of really any kind of understanding of the history and the true founding of our country. That has been lost. Any sense of real understanding of who God is and any kind of sense of stewardship of what God has called us to. I mean, all of that has been really lost in the public school system. Now, fortunately, there's some wonderful exceptions to that in the Christian movement, Christian education. But if you're asking me in terms of what the problem is, it's really been an intentional indoctrination of our children over really the last 100 years. And like I said, we've seen the fruit of that now in very pronounced ways, Kevin.